What's up, everyone? It's Anna, also known as that Star Wars girl, and today I am going to be doing a live review and breaking down this Brie Larson video. Now, a lot of people really liked my breakdown of the interview between Brie Larson and Jimmy Kimmel. A lot of people didn't like it. I understand. I myself thought that video was a little bit mean, but you know what? Sometimes I put out videos that I'm not happy with, but surprisingly they do well. So I thought, maybe I shouldn't do this video. It's too mean. But then at the same time, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just being too critical. And the internet tends to like that. There was an article written about it. So I am happy that I put that out. But a lot of people that like that asked me to do more of these breakdowns with Brie Larson. So this was the #1 requested video for me to do a breakdown of. I do not know why. I have not seen this. I have seen a few of these before. I think I watched the one with Chris Pratt when he was promoting the dinosaurs. Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. I didn't see that movie because I heard it was horrible. I was a huge Jurassic Park fan as a kid. I actually went to the Jurassic Park filming location. It was awesome. Great time. And every one of these I've seen so far, I've liked. So I'm kind of nervous since so many people sent me this video to do a breakdown of. So without further ado, let's watch this and fingers freaking crossed it's not that bad.
Hi, I'm Brie Larson and this is my Wired autocomplete interview.
Hi, Brie Larson.
The 100th Wired autocomplete interview.
I have a hard time saying words too. It's okay.
So this is the first time I ever Googled myself. I didn't know it looked like this.
I highly doubt that. I mean, even I have Googled myself just because I want to see what pops up. I feel like that was a thing that we all did in middle school. Like, ooh, let's Google ourselves type of thing. So I have a hard time believing that, especially since she's an actress. You kind of need to keep up on your career, what's, been going on, how people perceive you, and I mean, I'm pretty sure this girl's gone on IMDb and, looked at her stuff. I mean, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't go and check? But, I guess not. So, I don't believe her already, but whatevs. She wants to come off as humble, even though from all the other stuff she said, her words don't describe her actions. So let's see what else this is going to be. And I know some people complain that I pause this too much. I'm going to be better about it. But again, I don't want to get flagged or anything for having videos up and music playing in the background. So I apologize if you think that I'm pausing it too much. So Wired asked Brie Larson some of the internet's burning questions. See, I mess up on words sometimes too. Internet's burning questions. Okay, what are the burning questions about Brie Larson?
Is Brie Larson? I feel like you don't need to Google this, by the way.
Did she just criticize the way they literally do this for every person? Is Brie Larson in Captain Marvel? Is Brie Larson in this movie? Come on, this is an autofill. Who hasn't done this? I don't know, is the moon this many miles away from the Earth type of thing? That's not it. People got mad at me in my last video for this, but and I know you guys don't like when
Brie Larson. I feel like
look at his face.
Need to Google this, by the way.
That's so rude and condescending. I don't understand. Is that what? How is that such a hard concept? Let's get to the first question because I haven't even gotten to it. Okay, is Brie Larson
a gamer? Great question. Duh.
Great question. Duh. I mean, you don't even get excited about that. You're so rude. What kind of games are you? Why wouldn't you elaborate on that? Maybe they cut it. Maybe it's edited out. But that's still kind of a rude answer.
Is Brie Larson left-handed? Why do you need to know?
Because somebody wants to know. I feel like that's not a very uncommon question. I have asked people that. And, I mean, I don't see that. How is that offensive? Why is she so condescending? And whenever anyone asks her a question, this isn't even a 40-year-old white dude asking her this question. She's literally in a white room with a board. This is what the majority of the world has typed into Google. Why is she being so condescending?
I'm actually right-handed, kind of ambidextrous and...
Really? I've heard so many people use that. I'm ambidextrous. I have a hard time believing that. I would ask her to prove it. But I feel like that's just something that some people like because they think it makes them sound cooler. And she's right-handed. That's it. She's right-handed, guys.
And I, for Captain Marvel, learned how to fight on both sides, so I can do regular and southpaw.
Okay, so she learned how to fight left-handed. That's not the question. When people are asking if you're right or left-handed, that means which hand are you dominant with? I mean, people that are ambidextrous still have a more dominant hand. All right, Brie Larson. Maybe that's too complex of a topic for her, so we can move on.
Is Brie Larson... Well, that's awkward. Is
She
Brie
ripped off the word.
Larson Captain Marvel? I'm sorry that you have to Google that. I feel like the Disney execs are super bummed.
I'm sorry you had to Google that. Well, apparently your marketing isn't reaching everyone since everyone has to ask if you're Captain Marvel. I like how she's kind of like taken aback by that question. She's in shock that not everyone knows who she is.
About that. Why is Brie Larson's costume green? Am I allowed to tell you that? I mean, it's kind of complicated. Like,
am I allowed to tell you that? I mean, it's kind of complicated. That's not... I mean, they Googled it. They got their answer because this is on the internet. This has been in the comics. They're going to find out. They already know. So it's not that hard of a... I mean, you can talk about it because it's already on the internet. So whatever.
Like, don't you change your style as you grow and get older? It's like, whatever, man. It was the 90s.
I always think, how can this woman get more condescending? Like, there's no possible way this woman can get more condescending, and then she does. Why is your costume green, Brie Larson? Oh, you can't simply say, oh, because I'm, aliens, and then I become, the Captain Marvel, and I align myself, with this other thing instead of what I was originally with. No, my style change. Don't your styles change over the years, guys? It's like, oh, like Blizzard. Don't you guys have phones? Don't you guys have phones, guys? But whatever. Let's. Oh. I'm just gonna say this right now. It couldn't possibly get worse. Feeling I'm wrong.
Where did Brie Larson grow up? I was born in Sacramento, but moved to Los Angeles when I was like 7 or 8, something like that. I don't really like it when people ask that question, like, where are you from? Because then I say Los Angeles, and they go, it's crazy you're from Los Angeles. No one's from Los Angeles. I'm like, oh, it's actually Sacramento. And they're like, no way, I'm from Sacramento. Where did you grow up? I grew up in, I'm like, I don't know Sacramento. And they're like, it's just hard,
Okay. It's hard to tell everyone where I grew up. You could just say, hey, I was born in Sacramento and then I moved to Los Angeles when I was a kid, just like you just said. I don't like that question. I don't like people to know where I'm from. Girl, everyone that has Google knows where you're from now. It's not that complicated of a question. Heck, I grew up on a farm. I grew up in a small town in the middle of California called Gustine. There is no stoplights in that town. When people ask me where I'm from, it's like, okay, Gustine, then Modesto, then San Francisco. Now I live down in Southern California as well. It's kind of a complicated answer, and I just say, hey, I'm from California. If they want to elaborate more, I'm down to do it. Don't get offended because somebody wants to know more about you. I don't see why is she offended by every single question? I feel like she doesn't have a happy answer for any of these. It's like, oh, that's cool. Like, you want to know more about me? All right, yeah, I'm from Sacramento, and then I moved to LA. It's, I kind of feel like I'm more from LA, but, if you went from 7 years old and up, or 8 years old, 7 and 8 years old, that's a big majority of your life, considering, you're 28 years old, so you've been living in Los Angeles for 20 years. I think it's safe to say that you have more of experience living in Los Angeles than you do in Sacramento. I mean, I feel like I have more experience going to Sacramento than she does, so... whatever. Next question.
Did Brie Larson go to... We're never gonna know.
I feel like no one else has had this problem ripping off the paper. I have never seen someone do this. Maybe I just haven't seen as many of these, but I don't think that it's that difficult to pull this off of a paper. All right.
Go to college. No!
That makes a lot of sense now. That just shows, there's plenty of intelligent people that did not go to college. I'm not saying, just because if you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're ignorant, but the way that she carries herself is very ignorant. She's like, I'm gonna go and talk about politics and say about all these issues and then talk about how we need more women in this, even though we've had this forever, but just... She doesn't understand the things that she talks about, and it really irks my soul, especially when she's talking about film. So, I did go to college. I have a degree in visual development, which is a fancy term for concept art in animated movies, video games like AAA gaming, that art style, and live action movies. So when I went to college, I learned film history. I learned history of comics. I learned history of animation. I learned history of concept art. I also learned how to draw. I learned how every aspect of the pre-production process works, as well as the production process and the post-production process. These are things that I learned in college because they want to prepare you for if, hey, you're going to go work in, on a blockbuster film, you need to know these things and the way that films work. Of course, there is a big difference between studying it and then working in the industry, and you learn a lot of things on the job. I'm not going to, not acknowledge that fact. So the fact that she has been working on movies, you would have thought that she learned about the process, and she learned that, hey, when you're going to go market your movie, don't diss and piss off half your audience. Don't go and say, we need more representation in this when you yourself are a white freaking privileged woman. Don't go say that, oh, I don't want to know what a 40-year-old white dude does. Have you not noticed the time period that you live in? And I said this in my other video. That's like saying that, okay, so you don't think white men have daughters. You don't think that, a majority of this planet, that people have daughters. Considering that there are more women on this planet than men, you don't think that there aren't women in every single industry in the world. That is ignorant. You don't think that there are some white men out there that have biracial children. Heck, I feel like I know more white men that have, biracial girlfriends and biracial children than I know ones that don't. That's the time period that we live in. Heck, there was even a study that went around, and I remember it had all the pictures of the cutest freaking babies, which is probably why I remember it. And it's about how the next generation going forward, they're all interracial because there's so many people that this is okay now. So I made my argument. That's like saying, okay, so if David Bowie were still alive, he couldn't have an opinion on the movie because he's a white man, even though his wife is from Africa, they have an interracial child together. He spent a majority of his life trying to help awareness and trying to help out starving children in Africa and try to bring awareness about, the corrupted governments there. You're saying that a man like that has experience with that has ties to that because of his wife, because of her family, because of his child, that he's not allowed to have an opinion on that? That's ignorant. So, you know what? I think that you might, with all the monies that you made $5 million on this movie, I think you might need to take some college classes. I mean, you seem to be interested in politics. Go take a political science class. Go take, a history of film class. Go take a marketing class so you don't screw up the next time you do a movie, Brie Larson, if anyone's going to hire you again.
I almost walked into a buffet on the way here. It's a wonder that I even made it into this interview.
It's... okay. I don't even want to go there.
Really? Why didn't I go? How do I explain this?
Why didn't she go to college? Okay, because she had rich parents. Even though her parents were separated, they paid for her to go to acting school, and so they helped her get a break. And because, she is privileged, she had wealthy parents, she was able to go to fancy acting schools. You can go look at everything that Brie Larson has done in her life. It's all here on the internet. You can go see that cheesy music video where she tried to be a pop star. That's why she didn't go to college, because she was too busy trying to become famous. Now let's see what her answer is, even though everything that I just said is on the internet. You can go find it.
I'm just not that good at it.
You're not that good at college. How would you know if you haven't tried it?
To learn, but I'm not good at sitting still.
Okay, so there's plenty of people that... okay. You're sitting still right now, Brie Larson. It's not that hard. All of us had to do this at some point in our life. All of us had to go and sit in a classroom. It shouldn't be that hard, as an adult, to sit there and listen to something. Especially, I think it's very different, being in middle school, being in primary school, and then being in high school, where you're forced to sit there, you're not interested in these classes. But then when you get to go to college, yeah, there are some classes that are, you know, required classes. They're your core classes that you kind of have to take, you know, the general ed classes. But then there's the other classes that are the classes that you want to learn about. So if you were actually fascinated by the subject that you're learning, it's very easy to become involved in it. That was one of my favorite things about college, was I finally was in a class where I felt like it spoke to me, like just sitting there and drawing. And I remember one of my classes, it was history of, you know, concept art. I loved that class. I mean, who doesn't love concept art? Who doesn't love learning about the art that, you know, is the way that a movie is designed? Even my history of comics class was fascinating. I got to read comics in class. Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love, you know, this really cool dude telling you what it was like being a kid growing up with these comics when they were all coming out? It's amazing. That's something that when you love it and you're passionate about, you can sit through anything. So don't knock it until you try it.
Does Brie Larson have siblings? Yes, I do. I have a younger sister.
That was the most pleasant answer to a question so far. So maybe she and her sister have a good relationship. Fingers crossed her sister has a little bit more common sense.
Does Brie Larson sing? Duh.
Duh. Yeah, the whole world knows you have a pop song and it's auto-tune. Auto-tune.
Why'd you have to Google that? Doesn't everybody sing?
I'm pretty sure there's... I know for a fact I am a horrible singer. I cannot hold a note to save my life. I am completely tone deaf. I don't think that's what these people are trying to ask. I think they're trying to ask, you know, are you a triple threat? You know, can you sing? Can you act? Can you dance? I am assuming that basically anyone in this time and age, if you take a dance class, you can probably learn it. I can't because I have 2 left feet. I am not a good dancer or a good singer, and I'm not an actress. I think that is one of, you know, the most boring jobs a person can have, but I'm glad that there's other people that like that, like, unfortunately, Brie Larson, because, I mean, I feel like the best, I haven't seen a lot of her movies. I saw 21 Jump Street, and she was very forgettable, and I think the best part, that the only thing that made her likable was because the other character was interested in her, because the Jonah Hill liked her so much, so it made you invested in him trying to get her. That's the only reason she was likable in that movie. But Brie Larson, this person just wants to know if you sing, and I'm pretty sure all the people that Googled this saw that music video that you did, and oh my goodness. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out at your own risk.
Brie Larson work out? Like, hypothetically, would I at some point? Is that like a personal attack or something? Or...
Is that a personal attack? This person just wants to know if you worked out. Look at this face. I mean, how is asking you if you work out a personal attack? How? In what capacity would that ever be considered as a personal attack? I don't know why she's getting so offended by somebody asking if she worked out. Heck, you're a Marvel superhero. Every other person that's a Marvel superhero works out. You can go look at all the workouts that Captain America did, all the workouts that Thor did. Heck, you can even go look at the workouts that Gal Gadot did. You can go look at the girl that played Alita, Rosa. Look at her workouts. Now that is what a superhero workout looks like. This, do you work out? Is that a personal attack? How is that attack? How is asking you a question, a reasonable question, considering you are playing a superhero, and they're asking you, hey, do you work out? It's not the kind of thing where you're the Hulk and everything's going to be CG, so Mark Ruffalo doesn't really have to work out because it's all going to just be put on there with, magic special effects. That's a reasonable question for someone to ask you. Why on earth would you consider that an attack? You must be a very, very insecure person, Brie. And that's sad.
Is that a request? Do you think I should? Yeah, I work out a lot. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, this looks like the face of a very, very insecure person. I mean, come on. Is this why she had to go push the car? She had to go get a car on, flat ground and push it in neutral. I could do that. And I'm a small person. Come on.
Okay.
God, she looks so offended. Don't understand.
I'll do this side. Brie Larson I'm scared. Brie Larson, dog. I'm confused. Are you asking if I have 2 dogs? Or is it just like dog, like Brie Larson, dog? I have 2. I like dogs. Maybe it's because...
One redeeming quality about this woman, she likes dogs. I hope she's nice to them. I hope she's not one of those people that gets a dog just so that way they can have a dog and, you know, it's just there for, like, Instagram pictures and whatnot. So, one redeeming quality, she likes animals.
Because I'm severely allergic to cats, that I've really taken to dogs as being, like, a dog person. Brie Larson, Jeep. That kind of makes sense. I did push my trainer's Jeep for 60 seconds at a slight incline. So that was...
Oh, so there's a slight incline. Okay, so me and Jessi Milestone, she's over from Mindless Entertainment. She's awesome. We both saw that post and we're like, we gotta do this now. We gotta, but apparently there's a slight incline, so I will raise you to that, Brie Larson. I will find a car that is, about the equivalent, out of the people that I know that have cars, my car, I drive a small truck, so it's probably not the same weight as that Jeep. I'll have to look into that, but I will push it up an incline, and I will do it for more than 60 seconds, because I've done that before. I don't really, it's not that difficult, especially when the car is in neutral. Come on, girl, come on.
Really cool. Brie Larson rock climbing. Yeah, it's more boulder climbing, indoor boulder climbing, hoping to climb the Tetons in August with Jimmy and Alex from Free Solo. So, training to do that right now. Really?
I don't have anything to say about that one much. Yeah, I don't really like rock climbing gyms. I know some people do. I'm one of those people that I like to go out and do it myself. But I actually agree with her on this. I mean, she didn't actually give a stance on it, but I prefer not using ropes. I don't like ropes. I feel like that, you know, inhibits me. I feel more connected when I'm not using it. So, all right. Cool. She likes bouldering. Cool. She's a dog person. She likes animals, and she likes, you know, rock climbing or bouldering. So, that's cool. That's fine.
Larson, Lady Gaga. I mean, I don't even know, like, why on earth would you Google that?
Don't question why people Google things. Maybe somebody was drunk. Maybe a majority of the people that got this into the voting was drunk. Or, maybe they think you look like Lady Gaga. Or maybe there's a Lady Gaga song in your movie. Why is she so offended? I mean, why? I feel like every other one I've watched of these, they're just laughing. And they think it's funny. And it's a happy thing. This is very hostile. I don't know why.
Have I ever mentioned Lady Gaga? Is Lady Gaga talking about me? Is that why?
Oh, there we go. So she's never Googled herself, but looks like a squirrel, or she looks like my dog when I'm about to feed her, and there's food, and she's like, food.
She's never mentioned me, so I don't know why that's there. I feel like I need to do a Google of this Google.
There you go.
Who is Captain Marvel? Let's start at the beginning. Captain Marvel is a character that is now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I play her in the movie version of it. Her origin story is that
she's not even excited. I play her in the movie version of it. If I was a superhero, I'd be like, I am the superhero. It's awesome. Go see my movie. It's going to be a lot of fun. She's the newest superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I play her. There's a big difference. Big difference. You look at Ryan Reynolds when he is Deadpool. He's like, I was born to play Deadpool. I am not leaving the set without my suit. Like, he embodies the character because he's so happy to play him. This is the most bland thing ever, and that is exactly what I've heard is exactly like her performance in the movie, that it's just a bunch of meh. It's meh. The best thing about the movie is the cat. That's all I've heard. And, I mean, she's not even happy to play her. She's not even excited to play her character, so why should I be excited to see her movie? And I'm not.
A Air Force pilot, and something spectacular happened to her, and now she has superpowers.
Again, that was the most bland description. Something happened to her. She was an Air Force pilot, and now something happened. She got superpowers. Well, Girl, get excited. You're a Marvel superhero. You're the first female superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's something to celebrate. That's something to get excited about. Heck, I could care less about your character. I could care less about you, Brie Larson. But come on, you want people to get excited about your movie. You want little girls to look up to you and to go see this movie. Get freaking excited about it. If you're not even excited to play this character, then give it to somebody else that would be. Heck, I would love to see the difference between someone like Brie Larson and someone like Emily Blunt playing a character. Emily Blunt, I think, would have been the perfect actress to play Captain Marvel. And she is such a charming person and an amazing actress. And just looking at the way that she was in The Edge of Tomorrow, I mean, I love all of her. Like, every time I see her in something, I think that she is great. But looking at the type of hero she was in The Edge of Tomorrow and bringing that and her charisma over to play Captain Marvel, she would be here being like, yeah, you know, and I can't do the British accent like she does, but, you know, having her daughters, because she has 2 little girls, and having them, you know, dressed up as Captain Marvel, her talking about it and how it was fun and, like, doing the stunts and stuff. That's something that gets people excited about the movies. Yeah, she's the first female superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and she was an Air Force pilot, and then something happened to her, and she got superpowers. So yeah, it's not excited. That it feels like when you're in class and you like put a bunch of names in the hat and you pull one, and it's the one that you didn't want, and it's like, all right, I guess I got to do this one. That's if you're not excited about this movie, and you're not excited to be a superhero. Why should I get excited? Why should I want to go see your movie? And not just me. Why should anyone get excited about this and anyone want to go see this movie? This wasn't something that I think Brie Larson even cares about. I think the only thing that she cared about was getting across her political agenda and trying to push that, oh, I'm Brie Larson and I'm Captain Marvel and this is for women, but you don't even care about the character you're playing. And it shows. It really shows.
Who is Captain Marvel is kind of a controversial question.
How is that a controversial question? How? She was Miss Marvel. Then she became Captain Marvel. The most iconic one is Monica Rambeau, a black woman. You've gone on these campaigns, Brie Larson, about saying that, oh, I want more diversity, yet you are a white privileged woman that grew up in LA, and, you know, whatever, you want to be the face, you're not even excited about this. If you would have gotten, you know, look at the campaign that they did for Black Panther. I'm not a black woman. I loved Black Panther. I thought that movie was freaking cool. And there are problems with it, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting too much from it. I was really excited to see Bilbo and Smeagol have a scene together, but I was excited to learn about the character T'Challa. And I think my biggest problem with that movie was a hero is only as strong as the villain, and, you know, one villain gets killed off really fast, and then Michael B. Jordan, he's just such a charismatic person that I had a really hard time seeing him as a villain. And every time he's like looks angry, I'm like, but you're like the most happy angry person I've ever seen. And, you know, T'Challa, he gets beaten, which I think is good because he goes through the trials, and I going on a complete tangent, so I apologize, but I had problems with that movie, but I enjoyed watching it. It was fun. And for a superhero that I didn't know much about, going into it and leaving the movie being like, wow, I had a lot of fun watching that movie with my friends, that's the type of thing that you want for people that are not familiar with your characters. But this, oh, it's controversial. The only thing that's controversial about Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, is you and the way that you portrayed this character and this whole marketing campaign that you've done for this movie and this character. So let's see what else she has to say about this.
A lot of different versions of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was actually in DC Comics. One point was a dude, then became a woman, was wearing a leotard, had a sash, changed her costume, also had a mask, don't have a mask anymore, helmet.
Oh my god. I feel like she says she doesn't Google herself, but I feel like she went through and Googled and just looked at all the different pictures, and somebody gave her a breakdown of the costumes and didn't give her any hit. She's not talking about the history of the character right now. All she's doing is talking about the costumes and how that is controversial.
No helmet, long hair, short hair, mohawk, a lot of different illustrators.
Okay, so all she's talking about is the design for the character. How is that controversial? How?
Made by women now. super badass. But, you know, it's really up to you to decide who is your Captain Marvel, but I know.
Okay, so because it's made by women now, it's badass. How many times has this version of Captain Marvel failed and got rebooted? How many times has this lost Disney money? What is with that whole rumor going around that Marvel is bankrupting because of all these failed SJW comics? So the only thing controversial about this is that the character is not good and that nobody wanted this movie. Nobody cared about this character. You did not talk about this character or its development at all. Oh, excuse me. You said it was a man, now it's a woman. Only thing that you mentioned. Everything else had to do with costume design and, you know, just the basic look of the character. Nothing controversial about the character and how she evolved. You didn't even mention Monica Rambeau. But it's because you don't know anything about the character that you're playing and you're not even excited about it.
Who mine is. Does Captain Marvel have a cat? Yes. Kind of. Depends on if you're talking about the movie or the comics. But cat is definitely involved. Chewie in the comics, Goose in the movie.
Okay, so she knew that about the cat, and I'm pretty sure it's because she's allergic to cats, and so she's aware of that, and she's like, why? She probably threw a fit being like, why is there a cat on the set? And they're like, hey, it's in the comics, and it's gonna sell stuff, and she's like, I can't be around cats because I'm allergic, which is a legitimate reason to not be around a cat. I understand. People do have very severe cat allergies. I'm not one of them, so I feel bad because I love cats. I feel bad for people that can't be around them just as much as I feel bad for anyone that has any type of allergy towards animals, because animals are they're the greatest things on this planet. I love animals. I'm a huge animal lover, so that's unfortunate that she is allergic to cats. But yeah.
Does Captain Marvel time travel? No. I don't time travel. I mean, I understand it's a little confusing with the time lapse, but like, she uses good skincare. Just don't worry about it.
What? It has nothing to do with your age, Brie Larson. They are asking if you time travel because that is what somebody said is the superhero. That was a rumor that was one of Captain Marvel's superpowers, was that she could time travel. Don't get offended and think that it's because of your age, because that is not what anyone is asking about. I'm pretty sure no one is going to question, well, I mean, that could be something that people criticize, but it's not unknown that superheroes don't age like normal people do. I mean, look at the way they talk about, or the way Steve Rogers talks about himself, how he can't get drunk anymore. There is a very big chance that he is not going to age like the rest of us, even though he was frozen in ice. There is a look at Thor. Thor doesn't age like anyone else. He's thousands of years old compared to humans. He's going to live a very different lifespan, and he's going to age significantly different than other people. So for Captain Marvel to come back, yes, because this is, you know, before, it's messing up the timeline. For her to come back, it's no one, I don't think, is going to question, oh, why is Brie Larson not 25 years older? No, she's a superhero. She has different powers. Heck, when you travel through space, you don't age as fast. And they've done this test with astronauts here in, you know, the world. They're twins. One went up in outer space. The other one stayed on Earth. Guess what? They tested them. One was younger than the other, even though they were identical twins. So it's not going to be the biggest deal that even though you've been gone for 20 years, you come back and you don't look as old because you're a freaking superhero. That might be attributed to some of your powers since you're supposed to be the most powerful superhero out of all of them. It's not that big of a deal. I think that she's more, I think this is a very common thing for women to be conscious of their age. I think for most people, not just women. So, I'm getting tired of this. Oh shoot, what did I do?
How Captain Marvel gets her powers. Can I say? No.
Girl, they Googled it. They already know. I'm telling you that right now. It might be a little bit different in the movie, but I'm pretty sure they figured it out.
Captain Marvel's here? Okay, great. Captain Marvel gets her powers from a crazy blast. But don't try to do that yourself. I've never tried, but I experienced it in the movie, and it's not so nice.
You didn't experience it because it was a special effects team that did it. And originally she got her powers by standing too close to a man, but of course they didn't include that in the movie now, did they? And of course she didn't mention it.
You're probably better off just, like, scooting around on the carpet and creating an electric charge and then shocking people. Safer.
Okay, so now she's encouraging people to shock others. Great.
Can Captain Marvel beat Superman? I can't believe you have to Google that. Duh.
Not in a million years, Brie Larson. There is no way you could beat Superman. And I am more of a DC fan than I am a Marvel fan. I have said that many times. I do love Marvel. I love the MCU, but I grew up with the DC. I grew up with Superman. I grew up with Batman. I grew up with Spider-Man. Those are the three superheroes that I feel are the most known in the world. You can go to a kid in, a third world country, show them the Superman symbol, they are going to know exactly who that is. Just like show them the Bat symbol and the Spider-Man symbol. Those are the three most iconic superheroes. You can argue Wonder Woman is up there as well, and Flash and Green Lantern, but typically those are the most iconic. And of course, we have Thor because he was part of Norse mythology, but there is no way in hell Captain Marvel could beat Clark Kent, Kal-El, super freaking man. You couldn't even beat Batman, and Batman doesn't even have superpowers. So get off your high horse, Brie Larson. You need to study on these characters before you go and think that you're not proud of this character that you're playing, but I can go kick their asses. No, you couldn't. Superman would beat you in an instant.
Brie Larson. Who does Brie Larson look like?
I don't actually know the answer to that question. In my recent time here going over Brie Larson, I feel she reminds me of this one painting that I saw in, my 15th century history class. If I find it, I will share it on Twitter or Instagram if I come across it. But she reminds me of like this painting from medieval history.
I mean, why?
What do you mean, why? Somebody wants to know that. Why are you judging people because they want to know that? Maybe there is someone that out there that looks like you and they want to know that. Come on.
Who is Brie Larson's stunt double?
I think that's just a nice way of asking who's her butt double, let's be honest.
I have two, Renee Moneymaker and Joanna Bennett. So maybe that answers that question. How tall is Brie Larson? Like 5'8"-ish. 5'8.5".
Okay, with heels, but maybe without heels. Maybe that's what she's saying. Okay, so she's taller.
Which is specific, but I'm really just gonna eke out everything I can. How old is Brie Larson's character in Room? Honestly, I feel like I should Google that. I don't know. I have no idea.
How do you not know? You won an Oscar based on that movie. There are some actors that change everything about them. Look at Christian Bale when he goes and he becomes a character. And I feel like if Christian Bale were to have portrayed a character that was locked, in a basement or in a shed and was being sexually abused by a person and wasn't able to get out of this room, I feel like that would have, and you can just look at the transformations that he goes through to play his characters and think about the kind of psychological trauma he would have done to himself in that situation. I mean, you can even look at when Heath Ledger was becoming the Joker, that it consumed him, it changed him as a person. So for you don't even know the age of the character. Okay, she got kidnapped at this age and she's getting out at this age. Come on, why is that not something that you know? You won an Oscar based on your portrayal in that character, and you don't even know the age of your character? I feel like movies take years to make. In those years, you didn't learn how old you were in that movie? Come on. This just lets us know a lot about her, and that she doesn't really care about the characters that she plays, just as long as it gets her from point A to point B. She probably took that role because she got casted in the role and she, made it through all the auditions, and she knew that it was a serious script. And there are some movies that are made just because the scripts they think will win an Oscar. So I think that is why she played this. Now she looked at Captain Marvel. I get to be the first MCU female superhero with a standalone movie, and I can go push my agenda. That's what this seems. She doesn't care about the characters that she plays. And it's very, very obvious.
Can Brie Larson speak French? This is something that is worth Googling because it's a little complicated and confusing. So
It's not complicated and confusing. Her parents both speak French and they taught a French school. I learned that because I did have to do my research on this woman before I started making videos on her. And I learned a lot. So how is it confusing? All you have to say is both of my parents spoke French and that they had a French school.
So my history with French is it was my first language when I was a child. My family is French Canadian. But by the time I was in like maybe first or second grade, I started speaking more English and it kind of died out. I've taken French a couple of times. I actually tried to take it in college, but then I didn't last very long in college.
Wait, so she took it in college, but she said she's never gone to college. So she just contradicted herself in her own interview. I mean, okay.
As we've discussed previously. But I keep trying. I keep getting like a Duolingo account and trying again. And sometimes in interviews, like yesterday, I had people speaking to me in French. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And then very quickly, I'm like, oh, I don't remember this. There's like certain things that I remember from my childhood. Like my stomach was upset the other day. And so I was remembering that. I was told that that was called bol sur, which is like sour ball, sour stomach, sour ball in your stomach. I did actually Google that the other night, and it didn't pop up as that. So I'm not sure if I was learning some sort of slang French.
Ask your mom. Oh my gosh, you can go look at the history of her family. It's online. Her parents spoke French. I feel like it's not that uncommon for people to speak the same language that their parents did. Heck, my best friend Sav, her parents taught her how to speak Spanish. She is fluent in both Spanish and English. It's very common for people, especially in California, to be bilingual and to speak both English and Spanish. French, yeah, it's not that common in California, but I feel like other states that are closer to, either France, or obviously those would be other countries, or, states in America that are closer to, French Canada, that they would speak some French. But come on, your mom didn't keep teaching you French?
But I'll get back on the French train soon. Now that I feel completely accosted by this Google search.
Is that like the first time she smiled on this? Oh my gosh, is it over? Are we done?
Thank you, Wired, for this opportunity to Google myself for the first time.
That is a lie. She has 100% Googled herself before.
Y'all are crazy out there. But also, I just think it's weird that you even Googled me in the first place, so...
It's weird to even Google you in the first place? Are you kidding me? So, as an actress, as somebody that's trying to push, their political agendas and ideologies, on people, you think it's weird that people want to look you up. So you say that you're going to be this representation for us women, but you think you're going to belittle us because we Google you, because people want to know more about you, because, hey, they're like, oh my gosh, this woman that has an Oscar is going to be a new superhero. Why don't we Google her? Let's learn more about her. That's not an uncommon thing, considering everyone, that has a computer has 100% used Google before. It's not that big of a deal. You don't have to be condescending to people because they Googled you and you think that that's beneath you and that's, you're going to belittle people because of that. I'm just going to go look at the difference between her and Elizabeth Olsen real fast. We're going to just go through this, and I'm glad that it's another person that is in Marvel, and we're going to look at the difference between the way Brie Larson answered questions and Elizabeth Olsen. And I'm not going to watch the whole thing unless it's really good, and we're just going to look at the difference. Alright everyone, I got Elizabeth Olsen's interview, Wired question answering interview thing up. So we're just going to look at a couple of the questions that she answers and compare them to the way that Brie Larson answers. So let's check this out.
Okay. So.
Burning questions.
Elizabeth Olsen. God. From. That's a lot nicer than where's Elizabeth Olsen? Los Angeles. Where did Elizabeth Olsen...
Look at, okay, her and Brie Larson had the same question. They're from the same place. She's a lot nicer in the way that she answered that than Brie Larson is.
Go to college, NYU, and I graduated.
Look at the difference there. And she's all pleasant and smiley about it.
5.5
Good for you, girl. Good for you.
I was Elizabeth Olsen in Edinburgh because I was filming Avengers there. Yeah.
She hasn't once said anything negative about why people are asking her this question. She does not sound condescending at all with these questions. The first one, she was kind of, shocked, like, well, what does this question mean? But she wasn't offended because somebody asked her, why she was in a certain town or if she went to college. Just look at the difference in that.
When was Elizabeth Olsen born? February 16th, 1989. When did Elizabeth
Not condescending in that way at all. She answered her birthday. Give it a little wink.
Olsen start acting? That's a bigger question because I think my first professional job was when I was really young, but I didn't really start acting then, I don't think. I would say my sophomore year of college when I started understudying.
She's not even rude. She's just saying, all right, these people want to know about my life. Brie Larson, why would somebody Google that? I don't even know why you're Googling me. I mean, Elizabeth Olsen, I feel like a lot of people knew about her because of her sisters. And so since she's, not one of the twins, Mary-Kate and Ashley, she's the younger sister. She's not as known as them. She's not, one of the iconic Olsen twins. So she's been around this her entire life. And she's used to being in the public eye. So she's very humble on the way that she's just answering the questions. Nothing that she's doing here is condescending. I'm going to skip a little bit ahead and see if there's anything else. So let's go. There we go. She's making a face. I wonder why she's making a face.
Siblings, they're all like wholehearted, my blood siblings.
Okay, her siblings.
How old Elizabeth Olsen? I am 29. That's how old I am.
She doesn't look that old. She looks good for her age. But still, not condescending in any of the way that she is answering any of these questions.
How is Elizabeth Olsen? I'm great.
Look at the way that she answers that with a smile. She's happy. She's like, oh, people are asking, how am I? I'm great, kind of thing. The Brie Larson would be like, why are you asking me this question? So just look at the difference between these two women.
Thanks for asking Google.
Look, she's so happy.
Is Elizabeth Olsen Scarlet Witch? That's more of a meta question, I guess. Is Elizabeth Olsen in Avengers 4? Is Elizabeth Olsen left-handed? No, but thank you for thinking I'm one of those gifted, more creative people. Is Elizabeth Olsen...
Look at that. They both have the same question. Are they left-handed? Brie Larson, I'm actually right-handed, but I'm a little bit ambidextrous. She's like, no, but thank you for asking because, there is a stigmatism with... that is not the right word. Why did I say that word? I am so sorry. My father has astigmatism in both of his eyes, so that's probably why I thought of it. But, no, there is, that... Especially with artists, I think, because it's supposed to be, it's that unique thing that you're a little bit more creative at, which is why she even said that. So, and fun fact, if you guys didn't know, so the animator that drew Abu, he is left-handed, and I got to meet him, and it was cool seeing that he's left-handed. And some of my really talented friends, now that I think about it, when I was in college, there was actually a lot of people that are left-handed. So it's not that uncommon of a question. And especially since she has two siblings that are identical twins, one of the really common traits with twins is that twins are left-handed. You can go look at the subtleties that they do in Disney movies. Elsa is left-handed. Rapunzel is a little bit more ambidextrous, but Rapunzel is left-handed as well. Little things that they have in Disney movies, which is not an uncommon thing with a lot of fan theories that revolve around Disney movies, that certain characters are left-handed for a reason. They're little Easter eggs in it, and sometimes even the animators will draw the characters that they animated or that they animate in either right-handed or left-handed based on the animator's preference. So a little fun fact about Disney animation. But she's not offended by these questions the way Brie Larson is, and that says a lot about the differences between these two women. Well, that was interesting. I know I didn't show the entire Elizabeth Olsen interview. If you guys like, I could do a video just on that. But I think we already saw just from the few questions that she answered the difference in class and character and just the way that she, carries herself. Elizabeth Olsen is very content in who she is. She's very confident. She's also very pleasant. Brie Larson is very insecure, and she's very defensive. She's like, why are you asking me these questions? Whereas Elizabeth Olsen, she just answers because she's like, there is nothing to be defensive about in these questions. Whereas Brie Larson is constantly on the defense because if you ever interact with SJWs, kind of what they're like. They're very defensive. It's like, why are you asking me that question? That's so offensive. Like, oh my gosh, someone is playing a superhero. How offensive to ask them if they worked out. Do you think anyone goes up to Henry Cavill and asks him, oh, did you work out to play Superman? How is that an offensive question? Do you think people went up to Christian Bale when he was Batman and be like, hey, bro, did you work out? Do you even lift, bro? Do you think people ask Jason Momoa that question? No! Because they're playing superheroes. I'm pretty sure you go up to Scarlett Johansson, who has been playing Black Widow since Iron Man 2, and ask her if she works out. She's not going to get offended because she knows people are asking her because she's playing a badass superhero. That's not an offensive question that's not even, a crazy question to ask someone that is playing a superhero. So for Brie Larson to get that defensive about it, it just shows that she's a very insecure person, not only, about herself, but about where she stands in this. And from the other interviews I've seen, she doesn't get along with the cast. The cast do not like her, and there's just been a lot of problems because of her and because of the way that she's been carrying herself, the way she's been going on and marketing the movie, and it's showing, and you can just look at the difference. I barely even went into that Elizabeth Olsen interview, and you could just see the difference between them. It's very obvious, when somebody is confident and put together and is an adult, and when someone is very insecure and, unhappy in their life. And that shows between these two women. And, I would have much rather had a Scarlet Witch movie than a Captain Marvel movie. I think that would have been very interesting to learn more about Scarlet Witch and her past, because they changed her from being one of the X-Men to, because of the licensing thing, and seeing her dynamic between, with her and her brother and how they were tortured, and then that would have added so much, emotion and depth to his death when he died, because he was a character that was just introduced and then he died at the end, and we see her pain because, obviously we know that that's her brother, but would added another dynamic to that. And even if they would have just shown what was going on with her and Vision during the time, between Civil War and Infinity War, and showing that dynamic and how it would have added even more to the tragedy of her, not only disappearing, but her losing the man that she loved. That would have been great. I would have loved to see that movie with this very pleasant actress. And I grew up watching her sisters, so when I heard that she was going to be a superhero, I was like, oh, that's cool that she acts too. I hope that she's good. And then seeing her, I have had no problem with her acting. She's done a good job. And, it shows. She's confident. She's not going around strutting herself and trying to push politics down her throat, because she knows that her acting and her abilities will stand their own. She doesn't need to go pretend that she cares about certain things just so that way she has people to defend her, like Brie Larson. I'm doing it for the kids. I'm doing it for the kids, guys. Yet you won't support any of the GoFundMes. You are offended when people Google you. Shows. Look at the type of person she is. And this isn't made up. This is all from her own mouth. This is all from what she shows in her interviews. So, Brie Larson, I don't know what to say to you. Alright, everyone. I know that this video was very long, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, that's okay too. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you click that little bell. That way you get notifications when I do other videos and when I do live streams, because my puppy Tulip is usually in them. People like to see her. And everyone, have a great rest of your day. And may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye. Hey everyone, after being asked for months now, I finally got a P.O. box, so if you want to send me some mail, go ahead and send it to Anna, that Star Wars girl, or TSWG for short, at P.O. Box number 28171, Santa Ana, California, 927998171. Thank you, have a great day, guys.